How and when to collect vegetable, flower, and herb seeds. Harvesting vegetable seeds is a great way to save money if you do it right. You can turn one crop or store-bought vegetable into a lifetime supply. If you've never collected seeds before, it may seem difficult. Luckily, it's really easy. Learn the trick that will take your food gardening to the next level of affordability. You can save vegetable seeds from garden produce and plant them next year. Saving seeds involves selecting the right plants from which to save the seeds, collecting the seeds at the right time, and storing them appropriately over the winter. You can save seeds from your own garden or from vegetables bought in the store. However, organic vegetable seeds will be the best choice. An easy way to start is to use vegetables that have visible seeds in the part of the vegetable you eat, the fruit. For example, tomatoes, pumpkins, cucumbers, peppers. If you want to save the seeds of a plant that doesn't have fruit like kale, broccoli, lettuce, onion, carrot, or parsley, I'll tell you how later in the video. You can simply remove the visible seeds from the vegetable and spread them out to dry. Once completely dry, store the seeds in a cool, dry, and dark place until next season. It is important to remove excess pulp, which may become moldy. You can put the seeds in a sieve and rinse them under water to make it easier, but you don't have to do it thoroughly. Place the seeds on a silicone mat or baking paper to prevent them from sticking, so they do not touch each other. Find a place to dry, away from direct sunlight. Wait until they are completely dry and then store them in a cool, dry, and dark place. How to save seeds of plants that have no fruit. These you need to grow yourself and let the plant go to seed, basically leave it alone until it produces flowers which will turn into seeds. In some cases, such as broccoli, this means not eating a beautiful looking head of broccoli that you would otherwise choose to eat. Be sure to save the best plant for this purpose, for example, the plant with the largest, healthiest, and tastiest broccoli. This will be the plant that best suits the conditions and climate in your garden. Its seeds will have the perfect genetic code from the mother plant, which they will inherit, and next year such seeds will grow into equally beautiful or maybe even better plants. Think of it this way: by saving seeds from plants that have thrived rather than those that have struggled, you will eventually end up with a variety that is perfectly suited to your garden and will become more beneficial as the climate changes. If you have a large vegetable patch, saving seeds from fruitless plants is as simple as letting the seed pods dry while they are still on the plant. Then collecting the seeds when they are ready and dry. If you have a small space and want to plant something else there in the meantime, you can pick the entire plant, hang it upside down somewhere to dry, collect the seeds when they are ripe, and save them for next season. If you let the seeds dry in the garden, keep an eye on your local wildlife. While it's great to share, it may happen that the bird gang grabs all the seeds for themselves before you have a chance. So you can dry the plants inside instead. Some tips for storing seeds. Before storing, make sure the seeds are completely dry. If they are even slightly damp, they may become moldy. Plastic bags do not allow air to pass through, so store them in paper. Store the seeds out of the reach of rats and mice, otherwise they may not be there when you look for them. Put the date on the packaging and write something about the variety. Save the seeds of the healthiest plant or the one that produces the tastiest vegetables. How long do vegetable seeds last? Seeds can lie dormant for years, but store-bought seed packets usually say they should be used within 2 years. They will not disappear, but the older they are, the less willing they are to germinate. It sometimes happens that old seed material does not germinate at all. Tomatoes, peppers, beans and peas are good choices for saving seeds. They have self-pollinating flowers and seeds that require little or no special processing before storage. Seeds of biennial plants such as carrots and beets are more difficult to obtain because the plants need 2 growing seasons to set seed. Choose uniformly pollinated varieties, not hybrids. These plants bear similar fruit and set seeds that will produce more similar plants. Open-pollinated varieties can be heirlooms. These varieties may be passed down from generation to generation or may be newer selections. When it's time to sow, test the suitability of the seeds. There are several tests that can be used to check whether certain seeds will germinate. One way to check seed viability is to test the water. Take the seeds and place them in a container with water. Leave the seeds for 15 minutes. If the seeds fall, they are still viable. If they float, throw them away as they probably won't sprout. Late summer is the perfect time to start collecting seeds. Make sure the seeds come from traditional or open-pollinated plants. These are plants in their original forms. Their seeds will grow into plants with the same characteristics as their parents. Hybrid plants usually produce vegetables sold in large grocery stores. They are created by breeding 2 or more different types of plants to capture the best characteristics of each. However, trying to breed seeds from hybrids will not lead to a good harvest. The resulting plants will not have the expected characteristics, but will instead carry the genes of only one parent. It is also impossible to determine which parent it will be. For this reason, it is best not to grow seeds from store-bought foods. Many plants are cross-pollinated in the garden. Pollinators, other insects, animals, and the wind carry pollen from one plant to another. To ensure that the seeds you collect grow into plants that match their parents, give them space. When planting, place different types of the same crop as far apart as possible. To avoid cross-pollination surprises, plant only one type of each vegetable from which the seeds will be collected. For example, if you want to save tomato seeds, grow only one type of tomato in your garden. If this seems too limiting, feel free to experiment. Choose family plants to reduce the risk of cross-pollination. The plants will be fine, even if they aren't what you expected. Store the seeds in a cool, dry place in a covered glass jar or paper envelope, away from ripening fruit. Here's how to collect and store the seeds of some common vegetables. Lettuce. At the end of the growing season, lettuces will grow into flowers and seed heads will grow from them. This process is called sprouting. When the flowers dry, remove the stem. Place the flower and seeds in a paper bag, close it and shake. The seeds will fall off the flower and fall to the bottom of the bag. Basil. Basil seeds are tiny, so separating them from the tiny flower is a slow and careful process. When the plants flower at the end of the season, allow the flowers to remain until they fade completely. Cut them off and place them on a sieve. Then press them to the bottom of the strainer with your fingers. Beetroots and carrots. Beetroot and carrot plants do not produce seeds until their second year. In areas with cold winters, simply leave the plants in the ground over the winter. Let the biennial carrot flowers dry on the plant, cut them off and dry them in a paper bag for a week or 2. Pepper. Select the best-looking pepper from your healthiest plant and leave it on the plant until it becomes overripe and shriveled. Cut it in half and remove the seeds. Spread the seeds in a single layer on thick paper and leave to dry in a warm place. Do not expose them to direct sunlight. Shake the seeds occasionally to ensure even drying. The process should take about a week. Eggplant. Allow the eggplant to overripen on the plant until it becomes hard and shriveled and loses its luster and color. Cut it open, remove the seeds and place them in a bowl of water. Stir the water to wash away anything that may be stuck to them. Then gently dry the seeds with a cloth. Leave the seeds on a piece of cloth, shaking them lightly every day until they are completely dry. This may take several weeks. Green beans. Green beans can produce a lot in a season. To obtain seeds, leave the developing pods on one plant until they are completely dry and brown. Then cut the pods off the plant and place them in a cool, dark place to dry more thoroughly. Then remove the seeds and spread them on a cloth. Let them harden there for a few days. You can also save the fruit seeds. But fruit seeds usually require special preparation called stratification, which is basically a fancy term intended to trick them into thinking they have survived a cold winter. For example, growing peaches involves removing the pit from the peach shell, placing it in a plastic bag with moist potting mix in the freezer, and leaving it for 2 to 3 months until roots begin to grow. Research what fruit you want to grow before you try growing it at home, and also remember that there is frequent cross-pollination between trees. So there is no guarantee that the seed will give you an exact replica of the tree your fruit came from. Many fruit trees are grown from cuttings and grafted onto rootstock. This means that the part that produces delicious fruit comes from one tree, and the roots and lower trunk come from another tree that has a strong root system.